Summer ends in the Northern Hemisphere. What's winter 2025-26 going to look like, as well as spring coming in, changing season? Southern Hemisphere behaving strangely already. Quick warning for the UK. You got a massive storm inbound. It'll hit you on Sunday. It's going to drop to about 981 millibars. Winds are going to be approaching, 80 to 100 miles per hour as it lands on shore. Met Desk is showing you this as we move through with WX charts. That is going to absolutely cover the aisles here in just a moment. You breathe, and it's already here on Sunday morning. Max winds between 84 and 100 miles an hour. Please prepare. They're not really warning you. I'm not hearing much about it. There's a few wisps, but here you go. Advance. They'll tell you tomorrow, about a day before it arrives. They always do that with these weather forecasts. They never want to get people into sort of a preparation or a panic mode until the very last second. So think how our entire world's moving ahead like that. Because as we transit through this seasonal changes, what we can expect are some, unusualness, splitting vortices here, water spouts. Let's dive into what the old Farmer's Almanac has to say, and then what the modern instrumentation has to say about this winter inbound here for the Northern Hemisphere. The different colorations show the different snow depths that are forecast based on all the different variables, solar activity, animals, and hibernation patterns, and a dozen other things. And that's how the old timers came up with their forecasts, which were relatively accurate for the time. Even today, nature will give you the signs of something's going to be strange. So we got wet and mild over that. And this is important here out on the left, where right over Idaho is swooping down through there. That exact pattern is shown in other maps moving forward here. Mild and wet. And then we get cold and snowy, cold and dry over on the East Coast. And then, through Texas and the Four Corners area, just like mild and dry, mild and snowy. This matches up exactly what's happening right now. Interesting how to keep an eye on these same areas. But La Niña is absolutely taking hold. And even as a couple of weeks ago, they were unsure if La Niña was going to prevail or El Nino. But now it is assured that we're going to go into a La Niña for this winter. And you're driving down wind patterns, let's say from British Columbia all the way through that same striated area over in the west through Idaho. And the moisture patterns are affected a little bit differently. This has been used for 100 years plus, 150 really, for market traders and how grains are going to grow, this sort of thing. So if we take a look out at the UK forecast here, snowfall forecast, December of 2025. And what do you notice there? That same area that I just showed you on the Farmer's Almanac to the west coast is that same exact area. They were saying mild and wet. And then you see the rest of areas are going to be well below on the snowfall. And what's interesting, though, is even down in the southeast U.S., you think that would be near zero. But it does show some increasing amplitude of snowstorm and possibilities of snows. But here's where it gets interesting. When you come into January, it is going to be a winter wonderland. Look at that dark purple. You're actually off the chart here. So unknown as to where that goes off into the distance there. But you see they're showing California incredibly below. So then they're going to talk about snowpack and, the whole reason there's no water. And you're going to get the same regurgitated narratives. But they're going to forget just a few 100 miles north that it is going to be some of the all-time record thickest snows, apparently. If you're getting close to retirement or just thinking ahead, you've probably done a solid job of saving. But here's something most people don't consider. How much of that money is just sitting in cash? It might feel safe, but holding too much cash guarantees one thing. You're losing purchasing power. Inflation eats away at it, and the dollar's value keeps slipping. That's why more people are looking at real assets like physical gold and silver to protect their savings. And one company makes that easy, Noble Gold Investments. You can buy gold, silver, coins, bars. They'll ship to your home, or you can have it stored securely. It's a smart way to convert cash into something that actually holds value. Visit 2030gold.com. That's 2030gold.com. Because when you own real assets, you own real wealth. And please remember, Noble Gold, fair, transparent. They're not going to pressure you. They're going to give you actual information and real options in which to make good decisions. Again, that's 2030gold.com. Click on that link in the description box below. If it's going to be wet and if the conditions are right, you're going to get an enormous amount of snowfall. And that's where those two worlds meet. Wet and mild. Well, the snowfall's wet. So if we put this together and sandwich it as a mean over November to January through January, let me look at this. That is the same exact area that shows wet. So we're going to get the snowfall in that wet. It didn't say rainfall. It just said wet. So that moisture in the atmosphere counts for me as wet. That's going to terminate into snowfall. Looks like the rest of the overall U.S. lower 48 all the way up into Nova Scotia and the Maritime is going to get less snow. So we'll see how it is. And polar air, I mean, we're talking about immediacy right now. If we take a look at the next week or so, this will take us through the 8th of September. Chilly and brisk. Well, that's a great way to say way below normal average temperatures, about 25 Fahrenheit below the normal, but they just get brisk and chilly. Don't want to give away anything. Ooh, can't let the narrative slip backwards, can we? Polar air to bring October-like chill to 250 million people. That's not a major news story. It's going to be just chilly and brisky. So the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook here for you. Below normal temperatures, blue, darker blues. And then above, far out where they're going to switch to snow pretty quick here. But, you know, that's just the weather maps that the NOAA puts out. Easy to look at, easy to understand. Just cold in the blue. But if you bring it over to pivotal weather, they can get you some better 500 millibar charts here. And you can see the area where it's over. Yeah, that's at the northern edge of our growing belts in the U.S. and the southern edge of Canadian grow belts for corn, soy. They're already going to be into frost conditions. So I know a lot of farmers were rushing up there to try to get crops harvested before they were damaged. Now, looking out further here, this is off Tropical Tidbits, one of my favorite forecast sites. Notice how the flows are moving. We're coming straight off the Arctic, and that is plunging down all the way into, looks like, northern Georgia, northern Alabama. Same areas that were getting record snow last year. Remember when it snowed all the way down on the beaches? This is the same exact flow that's setting up again. So whose forecast is right? And will it be snowier or, you know, the temperatures are one thing, snowfall is another. And again, this just replicates and shows you in a little bit easier fashion here, the color differentiation of the temperatures. So you can follow that, but it's the same piercing flow. It's not even a vortex. It's a cutoff. I would call it saber-toothed tiger's tooth piercing through the continent here. You know, if the forecasts are out that we're looking for some unusualness in terms of snowfalls across the entire Northern Hemisphere, we should start to see signs. Oh, and here we are. September 4th, and also earlier in August, snows in these same areas. Zanskar and Ladakh, Leh area. Northern India. Now, the thing about this, the borders on Kashmir, the snowfall and the rain usually doesn't come at least until, what, end of November. That's trekking season is the clearest when you're up in the Himalaya and you want to go trekking. You're always waiting for the end of September, like October, November, or the gems right there. Those 2 months, crystal blue skies every day, never storm ever makes it in. And here it is snowing before and raining on top of what should be dry. So they lost the grasses meant for their cattle feed through the winter. We have crop insurance here. They don't. They're going to have to get rid of their head or give them moldy grains and moldy grasses. That's not healthy. Devastating for these farmers up in India there. And back even in August on the 27th, News 18 picking this one up, Kargil, Dras, Kardung. These are the same areas. It's really high. You're starting to get up there into, you're going above the tree line after this. It's really rocky, desert-ish, high altitude desert country as soon as you slide through this area. But the winter early onset here. And I thought, okay, well, that's not really too deep, is it? Until the snowfalls up in Leh are coming out now. So definitely several inches, and this is beyond the norm, and just causing an enormous amount of problem. May tourist season is right now coming into it at the end of September. So people were prepping for that, getting ready for all the trekkers. and roads are damaged. There's just an enormous amount of setback for this area in terms of animal husbandry, agriculture, and tourism. So this is a major, and all the floods that are happening too, coming down through Kashmir. Something significant is happening in this part of the world. And I would challenge you to take a look and see that 3,500 years ago to 4,000 years prior, this area was very lush and very wet. They called it a cradle of civilization along the Indus Valley, dried out, and now it seems that the weather pattern changing back again, the climate shift right back into, again, very moist and preferable for agricultural, I should say, enhancements, but then that would also boost into the seeds of civilization growing in a very optimal environment for being able to grow food and raise cattle and raise different types of protein sources. Now, up in Qinghai, come across the border, Qinghai, it's below Tibet, abnormal snows, not this thick, not this early. So it seems like that line across the Northern Hemisphere here, especially over, if you follow from India and you keep going east, you're going to run into Qinghai, but it's along that basin there. And I would imagine further down in the desert in the Tarim Basin is going to be getting wet as well. Once you come off the Qinghai Plateau and you come down in, you're in a desert right after that. And they've been getting a lot of rainfall there too. Lots of plant and vegetation growth inside the old areas where there used to be an enormous amount of stoppage areas for the camel trains on the Silk Road and all these desert oases that are just buried under the sands now. But as early as, say, 400 AD, like 1600 years ago, they were very lush water sources, and that had changed in a 2,000-year flipping period. We also see what's happening over in the Indus Valley on something like a 4,000-year period. There's a lot of larger, more powerful cycles overlapping and showing us change immediate right here, already begun. Now, if we look back here in the U.S., winter arrives early. New Mexico ski resorts getting ready to fire it off early. Taos Ski Valley, upper elevations, already getting it month plus early. Northern Quebec, early. What can you say? Earlier than people might expect. Well, yeah. And then if we over into Poland and the Tatra Mountains, early snowfalls, early, just incredible low temperatures. But if we swing to the Southern Hemisphere, and I just started to dive into this, there's just a lot of stories down there. In the warmest year ever, of course, we're still getting snow into what you consider leading into summer in the Southern Hemisphere. South Island, all types of snow warnings. Australia just got 3 feet of snow in their ski resorts. Well, they were trying to stay open and extend the season, and they were able to. I think they're still doing some management out on the slopes there because they got an extra 3 feet just about 5 days ago. And then if we look at snowfall in Rio Turbio and Santa Cruz in Argentina, again, snowfalls. Not a little, thick, 6-8 inches deep at the end of this storm here predicted. So it's happening on both hemispheres, on both sides of the planet here, ends of it, if you will. They're supposed to be going into summer down in Southern Hemisphere. And being so warm across the planet, quote unquote, they should not be seeing record snowfalls across 2 continents at least. And we're still looking to see what's happening down in Southern Africa at the moment. Cold there, but not snowy. You tell me what's going on. The north up here, we're already pounding into it early on the snows. Southern Hemisphere can't drag itself out of the snows. So what does this portend for the winter forecast 2025-26 Northern Hemisphere, do you think? Please leave your thoughts and ideas in the comment box below. It's always a good chat session through there. And if you support independent journalism, keeping Adapt 2030 on air, please remember Monero and Pirate Chain. Deposit addresses are below in the description box. And Victory Nutrition International. Trim Rocks. Looks like candy, works like science. Burn, boost, and balance. Take a look at what they have. That link's in the description box below. VNI.life/civilization. Use the code CYCLE20 to take 20% off your order. I do appreciate you watching. Hope you got something out of the video. Share with your friends and family. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.